This is an untitled story. My name is Jason. I'm an alcoholic. I'm from Hazel Park, Michigan, which is a city outside of Detroit. And I'm currently recording on Saturday afternoon at the 64th Icky Paw in Austin, Texas. I guess I wanted to talk about early recovery, maybe with even my first meeting. So I kind of had a list and found a meeting online, and I drove out. It was a Thursday evening, and I went to it, nervous as a new AA member is when they get to their first meeting. But I got up the courage. I got out of my car, walked to the door, grabbed the handle and gave it a tug, and the door actually pulled back because it was locked. So I guess maybe I was a little bit early. So I drove around this synagogue near my house because it was close enough to my house, but far enough away that if I ran into somebody I knew, it would be less likely. But I drove around, tried other doors, nothing happened. So I sat in that parking lot and I just kind of waited. And as I waited, other cars showed up. People started to go up and walk to the door, give the door a tug, same door I had tried, still locked. But I got out of my car, went up, kind of introduced myself, said, "Hey, is this an AA meeting?" And they were like, "Yeah, but it must be canceled today." And they all started walking back to their vehicles. Two people jumped out of a Jeep and kind of just waved their arm across the parking lot and pointed at me. Must have identified me as a newcomer because they're like, "Hey, is this your first meeting?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've never been before, didn't really know what was going on." That synagogue found out was actually closed for a Jewish holiday. So what happened was those two guys who identified me as a newcomer stopped the other gentlemen from jumping into their vehicles and going home, and then decided that they were going to hold a meeting for a newcomer right there in the parking lot. And I got sober in Michigan in October, which is not necessarily the warmest of months in the state of Michigan. So it was kind of chilly, but it was really cool that 6 guys stood in the parking lot and had a first step meeting for me who had never had an introduction to AA before. And it was just like the responsibility statement says, the hand of AA will be there if you show up. And I was there, and they reached out, and they continued to guide me. So that meeting we ended. The 2 guys who identified me as a newcomer told me about another meeting, and they're like, "You go to this place at this time, and we will meet you there." And that was the most comforting thing that I could ever have, because I absolutely hate going places and having to introduce myself, or going places that I've never been before creates a air of uncomfortability in me. So I had a reason to go to that meeting, and was a little lighter when I showed up to that meeting. And they kept doing that. After that meeting, they showed me another meeting, and then someone at another meeting told me about this other meeting. So I had a meeting for every single day of the week without even having to reopen the meeting guide. And eventually, one of those guys gave me a big book, said he'd be my sponsor. That didn't necessarily work out, but I kept going to meetings. I kept listening. And then this one guy was having his 1-year anniversary. Didn't know him really well, but we sat at our Saturday meeting table. So I had heard him share before. He was really cool. He was there with his sponsor every single week. They always talked about their relationship with a higher power. I really like what they had to say. And they invited me to go out bowling for his anniversary party. It was kind of the first time I'd been asked to go anywhere before or after a meeting for any type of fellowship. And it was really cool. Got to hang out with some people, even though I was nervous. It was a bowling alley that I had bowled on leagues with when I was a kid. and drank at as an adult. But I had a great time. And when the time actually came that I was ready to walk forward in this program, I asked that guy who invited me to his anniversary to be my sponsor. And he's been my sponsor for the last 9.5 years. We worked through the steps. We worked through the traditions. He's been my sponsor till this day. And I don't know how I could have done it without the hand of AA to reach out at that very first meeting. So I am truly grateful for this program and the gift of sobriety that it's given me.